the first second that this began. And I want Paul to join us now. Paul, there's one thing that I think we need to do as we approach the verdict moment, and that is give our viewers a chance to sort of relive some of those iconic moments of this trial. No one knows this better than you in terms of our team here. Give us a sort of Reader's Digest condensed version of how this thing started and up to the point yesterday when this jury took it on.
Well, it's been quite, I mean, it's been 6+ weeks, right? Jury selection all the way to today, a verdict having been reached. I think back to the early stage of the trial itself, the emotional witness testimony, the eyeball witnesses at the scene of 38th in Chicago, the anger, the sadness, the regret, watching the incident unfold. I think about the 911 dispatcher watching on her television screen, how this all got started, watching that deadly arrest at the time and being so concerned. She called the sergeant that night. And then the way the prosecution spun that tale into their closing argument, that even at the heart of this case was never about taking on the police in general. This was the state of Minnesota versus Derek Chauvin. And they proved that point by saying, look, some of these eyewitnesses who were angry, who were agitated, who were frustrated, who were concerned, you know who their first call was to after they witnessed what they did? It was to the police. So Jenna Scurry, the 911 operator, Donald Williams, the MMA fighter trained in chokeholds, who's watching what he thinks is a blood choke going down on the street, begging Derek Chauvin, yelling, screaming at him to get off. You know, he had some other choice words, but the witness testimony from the scene, I'll never forget Charles McMillan, of course, the elder on the scene there, encouraging George Floyd to comply, to get in the squad car, and then just breaking down emotionally on the witness stand while watching the body camera video, and George Floyd crying out for his mama. He, of course, McMillan in his 60s had lost his mother recently, and they needed to take that 10-minute break. The police testimony that came in, the crushing of the whole so-called blue wall of silence, or the protection of police in uniform and protecting one another wearing the badge, that disintegrated during this case. It's Chief Derry Arredondo and all those others from Minneapolis police turned on Derek Chauvin and his actions that day. Richard Zimmerman, the longtime homicide detective, and then getting into the medical evidence, the cause of death, complex, but did Martin Tobin really put on quite a display of knowledge and walking this jury through what his thoughts were and conclusions on the police restraint and the lack of oxygen George Floyd was taking in as pinned to the ground. George Floyd trying to literally breathe with his knuckles and the like. And then, of course, the defense doing its best to bring out some other thoughts and processes, you know, questioning. And it's good to have a system that challenges one another, where a jury ends up being the unbiased arbiter of a situation. And that's what we're watching unfold here. The defense had its chance to explain what was going on. Derek Chauvin's training, what an objectively reasonable officer would do in the totality of the situation. So it was a beautiful system that played out before us over the last month plus. You guys know I love being at the courthouse for these very reasons. This is people's lives that are at stake here, to future the Floyd family here, with so much at stake with what we're about to hear. I do want to just turn, just because I kind of have a bird's eye view from where Courtney and some of our other crews are down below at the south side of the Hennepin County Government Center. Courtney mentioned media mostly there, but of course demonstrators are arriving. They want to be in close proximity as this verdict is read. And I just want to follow up on one of her points about law enforcement closing down some additional streets. They had some extra fencing, right? We all know the whole building was fortified, but then they had fencing posts at different spots where they could close off blocks to kind of give more of a shield to downtown City Hall, the Hennepin County Government Center. So in Courtney's last report, it sounded like they must have closed down one of those extra barricades there. But it's a really interesting vantage from being up here, because as I do see people flocking to the government center behind me to be here for this historic and global impactful moment. There also is sort of a mass exodus that's happening. Of course, where I sit or stand heading in this direction would be the interstates getting on 35W. And if you head the other way towards 394, there is this sort of exodus out of downtown. And you were with me earlier when I was speaking to criminal defense attorney Ryan Pasiga, who offices downtown. His employees all had go bags from their office up on the 27th floor of a nearby tower for this very moment. They grabbed their stuff and left. We know they cleared out government buildings, the federal courthouse on the other side of the Hennepin County Government Center. They cleared out everybody. They are very concerned about what comes next, guys, after this verdict is read. The preparation has been done. Is everybody ready? We will see.
You are absolutely right, Paul. Two resounding questions as of yesterday. What will this jury come back with, and what will happen after the verdict is read? Those are the things that we're anxiously awaiting for. As you can imagine, we do have Skyfox 9 up there in the top left of your screen, as you can see. And Paul noted that the crowd of people is beginning to grow outside the Hennepin County Government Center. There's 4 boxes there, 38th and Chicago in the lower left, and of course then a ground view of outside the courthouse there in the plaza, and then the courthouse, the courtroom inside that courthouse right there. And that is the one we'll focus on as this jury comes back with its verdict. We'll go full on that. We'll hear every second of it when it happens, and we're told it should happen before 4 o'clock.
Yeah, waiting for that in the next 20 minutes or so. Also just want to make note that this is a trial that was televised for the world to see, to understand the process, to hear the testimony day after day from jury selection until closing arguments. And so today we will see the verdict being read live as well, something that it's a glimpse into the courtroom that we don't often get here.
You're right, Kelsey. I mean,
So while the media is jerking themselves off about how much of an amazing job they're doing, covering this is a learning example. This sure was the best pinnacle of law and order. This is the system working itself out. I want all the free thinkers who have tuned into Tommy Nation Politics. And by the way, guys, this is Tommy Nation Politics. Free thinking, innovative, totally open-minded, progressive media. Why do we progress? So we can pick ourselves back up again. So we can fight the good fight, carry on, finish the race. As this race goes on and on and on, just last week, Dante Wright, 20 years old, shot by a cop in Minnesota. Same area that Philando Castile was murdered. Same area where George Floyd was murdered. Same area. 9 minutes, guys, on his neck with his knee. That's how little we matter. It's how little we matter to the elites, how little we matter to the puppets of the rich, the Democrats and Republicans. That's how much we really value, I believe, sometimes ourselves, to let I'm going to be careful, to let the same games being played on carry on. And they are all jerking themselves off. This is a great example of how the system works, even before the verdict's carried out. Let me tell you about the verdict, guys. So Mr. Chauvin here. Look, first of all, I'm going off on a tangent, but it's relevant, kind of. So I've been trying to keep away from this trial because I don't like to talk about cops. I don't like to talk about the justice system. I've had experience with both. Brings back memories, dark ones. And it puts me in a bad place, a place where I feel anger. And then I act out on a whole general class of people. which you're not supposed to do. It's not logical. It's not true. All white people are not murderers and supremacists and territorial nationalists. Are all cops bad? Well, that's another story. That's why I don't talk about cops. I like to talk about inherently evil things, guys. And I know that I'm going to get a lot of flack about this, but cops are inherently evil things. They were birthed by literally getting and retracing the property that escaped to the north and bringing it back to the wealthy land-owning white people. That was their origin. They gradually progressed to, do what they've always done. Because their job, I know they think that it's so horrible, it's so fucking hard, but it's obviously not that hard. Because at any moment, you could just forget what a taser feels like and shoot a black man in the fucking stomach. So obviously it's not that hard. No, they've been doing the same thing for fucking 200 years now. Getting the property, securing it for the rich, and killing anyone else who isn't rich or whose property is stray. That's their origin, guys. That's what they do. They get the property back for the rich. These laws, they're not moral. It makes me laugh when people talk about how this country is a Judeo-Christian country. Because you will make Judeo-Christian principles laugh with that shit. Built on the backs of slaves and a genocide of Native Americans, guys. But that's the truth. It's the ugly truth that, you see, I don't want to talk about it. But see, when I talk about cops, guys, they're inherently evil. And they have absolute power, guns and badges. And also, they have a thin blue wall of also megalomaniac, psychopath cretins who have a huge narcissistic complex. Fact, guys. Cops are the biggest perpetrators of domestic violence. Fact. Fact. Cops are the biggest perpetrators of child abuse. Fact. 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 Cops are one of the biggest groups in the entire alcoholism pyramid. Fact. Why is that? Anger management problems, pent-up rage, modified with a gun and a badge to give you a literal hard-on. Respect my authority. It's not a good fucking combination, guys. So these guys have gone in this last century with Reagan and Law and Order and Just Say No and the drug war. These psychopath, megalomaniac, narcissistic dogs, these hound dogs that snuff out property that's running astray and give it back to the rich, have evolved now into having some kind of a pedestal-like, godlike social aura about them, to the fact where no one questions them. No one ever, they're all in cahoots together with a thin blue line, and they murder who they want. They break into houses all the time. They abuse their wives. Like I said, guys, look it up. It's a fact. They are the biggest perpetrators of domestic violence. Cops aren't good. Now, there are some good people that try to be cops. Do you know what happens to those people? Look it up, guys. There was a person who tried to stop another officer choking and maiming and hurting and abusing another person. She ended up getting fired. Her pension was terminated, and she got shipped off to like some podunk city. And they pretty much told him in the file, she's a snitch. Don't trust the bitch. That's what happens. It's just like the Democrat and Republican Party, guys. You don't change the parties change you. Either all cops are bad. My verdict is all cops are bad. And this is the caveat. If you're not a bad cop, then why didn't you stop him from kneeling on the neck of a black man in the middle of the street? If you're a good cop, why did you not stop that? Because you know what they do to good cops. You know about the thin blue line. You know about the gang bang colors known as the blue. They're gangbangers. They're corrupt thieves, murderers, rapists, drug dealers, and domestic abusers. And we literally give them a gun and a badge and unwanted authority on our lives. It's a madness. It's madness, guys. We literally fucking say we support them, when literally their whole thing is supposed to be they're supposed to protect and serve the community. We're not supposed to be the doormats. They are supposed to protect and serve. Guys, one of the things when Dante Wright was shot, he had to put that woman cop administrative leave, the chief of police. Administrative leave, I mean, she's still a cop getting paid. Until we sort this out. Yeah, so he was like, yeah, I'm really emotional right now. I'm really emotional right now, bro. He was so emotional. Yeah, I'm emotional. Yeah, of course you're emotional. That's the problem, officer. I just want to say, if I was the news reporter in that room, when she's all interviewing him about the thing, and he's like, oh, well, it was an accident. I saw the camera. I'm so emotional right now. I just want to be like, guys, do any of you cops in the room feel the same way this gentleman feels? And they all raise their hand. And I would say, get the fuck out of the police force, you emotional babies. If you're going to be a police officer, you can't be emotional. You have to be professional. You have to serve and protect the public. You have to serve your community. And you have to do a hard job. Now, maybe if you did that job correctly and you stop murdering people, maybe we pay you more. I heard Pat Robertson on the 700 Club talking about how we should pay more. They do a job and have the best of the best there because we don't pay them enough. These guys literally have only one job. Arrest people. Keep the peace. It really is so easy. And yet they can manage to take every single armed shooter of a mass shooting into custody and not accidentally shoot them in the face or kneel on their necks. The Minnesota Police Department, for one, is a bunch of clowns. And Chauvin's charges are bullshit. You have one for manslaughter. You have one for third-degree murder, which is like manslaughter. And then you have one for conspiracy of reckless endangerment, like firing in a crowded room. Endangering the public. What does that have to do with your malicious, evil behavior, Chauvin? What does that have to do with your gang-banging friends watching you murder a black man in cold blood? What do those charges have to do with your bullshit thin blue line and your fucking retarded, I can't be bothered attitude as he cries for his mother? What in the fucking fuck do those charges have to do with your goddamn evil, selfish, narcissistic, intensious attitude that reverberates throughout the entire police departments all over the country? If you were a police officer and you were in that department and you saw that tape and you're still a cop, I rest my case on all cops are bad. If you can go along blindly, just grasping at the power of your goddamn pig officer, cuck, overlord supervisor, and asking for his approval. If you can just go along every day eating your ham sandwich at 12, sitting out there with your fucking monster all jacked up on fucking no-dos, itching to pull somebody over because I gotta get my fucking fix, guys. I didn't hit my wife today. God, she makes me so angry. I wanted dinner at 6. She burnt the steak. If you guys can just fucking go along to get along with this fucking gang-banging fucking organization, you're a psychopath, murdering rapist yourself by association. I don't usually do guilt by association, but if you're a cop, I'm setting a precedent. So let's check back in with this verdict, guys. Enough of me rambling. Let's hear about this media and how they fucking did a great job covering this, and we all know about charges and felonies. The justice system works so well, and any minute now, these guys are going to announce some kind of charge that's going to give him, 12 years, and he'll be out on parole because he'll be out fucking before you know it. Because he pled the fifth. He didn't snitch. He's not a snitch. He's not a bitch-ass snitch. He didn't snitch on his friends. He didn't snitch on his gang-banging organization. And now, he's going to get his reward. He's probably going to keep his pension, too. Motherfucker's probably going to keep his pension, too. Watch.
This morning, 12 hours in between 8 and by, I didn't mark it on my clock, but I think around 2:25, official word had come down that the jury had reached unanimous verdicts and was ready to read these decisions in court. Of course, they will come in, 12 of them. We have what has been described as a fairly diverse jury for Hennepin County. 4 members self-describing black, 2 multi-race, 6 white jurors making up this panel of 12. And we await what they have to say. They certainly know the world is watching. It will be interesting, as Kelsey mentioned a little bit ago, just to see if any of them want to talk afterwards or if this is something they will just stay silent on and sort of do this anonymously as they cast their verdict today after listening to weeks of evidence, 45 witnesses, testimony from all sides, and now the world awaits what those 12 people the conclusions they reached during their sequestered deliberations over the last day and a half.
And quickly, Paul, you had the chance to be a pool reporter in the courtroom. What did you witness with the jury? I know I read a lot of notes that said they were very attentive most of the time, and they got right to work yesterday.
They did get right to work. I was curious to kind of see what they felt about Eric Nelson's lengthy closing arguments yesterday. And, I talked to the pool reporter who was inside there. She tuned out some distraction, but she said nothing over the top, right? We were sitting in the media center thinking, oh, God, this is, I don't mean to disrespect Eric Nelson. He had a hell of a job to defend his client, and he did it wonderfully. But it just went on and on. I didn't know how the jury might react in that moment, but she said nothing over the top. They did seem focused, a lot of note-taking. The one thing I will say about my day, it was sort of mid-trial. It was the Friday that went half a day. There was a Minneapolis police sergeant, and then in the second witness was the longtime homicide detective, Lieutenant Richard Zimmerman, and he's old-school police and is just kind of engaging as a witness. And when he was talking about how the move of a knee to the back of George Floyd's neck was totally uncalled for, and nowhere in his 3 decades of training had he ever been trained to do anything like that. You saw at that point, all 14 jurors, of course, 2 have been sent home as alternates, but at that point, everybody went right to their notebook and appeared really engaged, really interested. I thought that was a point worth noting. And then the other thing was just how quickly I was mid-trial, and already I had noticed, friendships had sprung up during breaks, jurors turning to one another in their seating area and talking. And
will you listen to these schmucks talking about their stupid observations in the courtroom and jury people being friends with one another?
The plexiglass, the jury,
and oh my God, on it.
kind of bunched in a
His
little tighter.
examined
His eye contact
opponents.
with the defendant, how they have him situated, and
I
the
swear
way
to God.
the courtroom lays out.
Nothing
So it's a
radicalizes me
different
more
dynamic. Just
than the
keep that in
mainstream
mind
media,
as you watch. I don't know the exact
cops,
layout of the
and the
three
Democrats,
cameras per
Republicans.
TV, who's providing the cameras inside the broadcast live.
Oh, God.
They have some
This
camera
is fucking
positions that
funny.
Judge Cahill has agreed to as part of this process of televising, of making this most public of trials public. And I do want to say the one other thing about the camera angle: this is the one time where the camera will be allowed to zoom in on the defendant. Otherwise, the rules from Cahill was to stay wide. No tight shots.
If the verdict isn't
Today, look for that
reached by
camera to zoom in on
4:05,
the
I'm
defendant's
leaving
reaction,
because
when these verdicts are
you
read.
said 3:30 to
All
4.
right, Paul, thank you so much. We appreciate that. I want
And,
to remind our viewers it's 4 o'clock now. This is the time in
yeah,
which
this is the
we're
time.
told the
I'm
verdict
here.
would come in from this
You're here
jury.
with your tie.
We're going to show you very live.
I don't have all
images
day.
from
I
all
have
around
things
the
to
Twin
do.
Cities.
I'm not a cop.
Primarily, you'll see that symbol there, that
I'm not just going to munch on No-Dos and drink Monsters all day. I got things to do.
In the air as well. We have
I
camera
don't like
38
fucking
from Chicago,
even
and of course we
talking
have a ground
about this
camera
or
there
fucking
outside the
watching
county
it.
courthouse there on the plaza.
I swear to
scene,
God.
and we are watching what happens very closely.
I can't wait to see what they do, though.
Read again.
Because all of these
Judge
3
Vincent
erroneous
Chauvin, this
charges
jury considers
are
all of
less than
them
40
or
years
none of
each.
them. They can come back with a
And he's
partial
a
verdict in terms of,
first-time
the charges.
offender because he's a
Second-degree
cop
murder, third-degree
who's
murder,
only
and
gotten away with
second-degree
murdering people
manslaughter.
for the first time.
They could deem
As
him
we know-
guilty
that
on
we
all
know.
charges, or
So,
innocent on all charges, not
now-
guilty, and those are what we're watching for
God.
right now. The
It's gonna
combination.
get such
we do
fucking
know that
treatment,
there's
isn't
a
he?
unanimous verdict
Probably
in
get a
this
fucking
because
spa.
they came back with that. And
Probably
the
gonna get
court
the
has
good
that on
fucking
record
cell.
with the verdict,
We're
so
gonna
we
be a
know at least
trustee.
That is what's happening here in the next
First
few
day.
minutes.
And Randy, policing, a verdict aside, this really has the potential to change policing in the country. And I wanted to bring in Mike Bryant one more time and lean on him in what could be the last few moments we have here before the verdict is read. Mike, I think back to Dr. Martin Tobin specifically and his testimony. Do you think that, verdict aside, that the testimony given during this trial could have the potential to change the way that police, the use of force specifically?
Potentially. It's interesting because you had a number of police officers that testified this isn't the way we do it anyway. So the question is, what was the training issue early that some say it isn't how we do it, and then we never heard from the defendant, which is his right in the Constitution, but he did it this way, and there's other examples of it being done. I think they brought up some examples when there's been testimony contrary by one of the experts. But it's another thing to look at, and with what continues to happen across the country, those are all things that need to be looked at. As far as training goes, we need to make sure that training's done properly, and that we have people who have the abilities to do what they're doing it.
Mike, I want to ask you about this jury and try and put yourself as our legal analyst in the eyes of this jury.
Okay, guys, so I tried to be a reporter, and I tried to give you some live news of the verdict, but I really can't stand this shit. And I hate these reporters talking about the fucking jury and how they fucking sneeze on a napkin and their body language and all this bullshit that they feed you, and I'm sure you think it's very fucking exciting. I know you do. The Gallup poll told me. But this is a spectacle. He's a murderer, and in any fair world, he would be ripped apart by lions already. But this guy is going to get a slap on the wrist no matter what the fuck is going to happen, and we're all fucking standing here like justice is going to fucking be done. Justice is not done. Justice won't ever be done if we keep on pretending that this is literally the way to do it. It's not. We need more accountability. We need a law enforcement that works for all of us and not the few. We need a government that works for all of us and not the few. We're living in a failed state, surveillance state, warmongering, sociopathic, narcissistic society. And that's why we're shooting each other. It's not the guns, it's us. We hate each other. We hate each other because we all talk about our credentials and our conventional wisdom and our social norms and our resumes, and nobody gives a shit because you just kneeled on someone's neck for 9 minutes. And this is the culmination of all of our fucking wonderful analysis and our fucking discourse and our dialogue and our bullshit closing arguments. We gotta make the jury understand. If you don't fucking see with your eyes what the fuck happened, good night and good luck. Take your seat at the bench, Your Honor. It's on the docket, bruh. I like this guy, though. He doesn't take bullshit. He don't take no shit. I'm a pretty big fan of judges. We should just go back to them. Eliminate the fucking cops.
State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, defendant. Verdict, count 1. Court file number 27, CR. We the jury in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April, 2021 at 1:44 p.m. Signed, juror foreperson, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 2. We the jury in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April, 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Signed by jury foreperson, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 3. We the jury in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April, 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Jury foreperson 019. Members of the jury, I'm now going to ask you individually if these are your true and correct verdicts. Please respond yes or no. Juror number 2, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 9, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 19, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 27, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 44, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 52, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 55, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 79, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 85, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 89, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 91, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 92, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Are these your verdicts? So say you one, so say you all.
Yes.
Members of the jury, I find that the verdicts as read reflect the will of the jury and will be filed accordingly. I have to thank you on behalf of the people of the state of Minnesota for not only jury service, but heavy-duty jury service. What I'm going to ask you to do now is to follow the deputy back into your usual room, and I will join you in a few minutes to answer questions and to advise you further. So, all rise for the jury. All right, be seated. With the guilty verdict returned, we're going to have Blakely, you may file a written argument as to Blakely factors within 1 week. The court will issue findings on the Blakely factors, the factual findings, 1 week after that. We'll order a PSI immediately returnable in 4 weeks. And we will also have a briefing on, after you get the PSI, 6 weeks.
So, guilty on all charges, guys. Does that make me feel better about life? Not really. Not really, guys. Not really. Why doesn't it make you feel better, Thomas? Was justice done today? Was justice done today? Hey, Siri. What's justice?
Justice, in its broadest sense, is the principle that people receive that which they deserve, with the interpretation of what then constitutes deserving being impacted upon by numerous fields, with many differing viewpoints and perspectives, including the concepts of moral correctness based on ethics, rationality, law, religion, equity, and fairness. Consequently, the application of justice differs in every culture.
Is there more? I guess there are more. Hey, Siri, one more time. Hey, Siri, what's justice? I want y'all to listen. What's this? Hey, Siri, what is justice?
Sorry, I missed that. Could you say it again, please?
I said, hey, Siri, what is justice?
Justice, in its broadest sense,
Y'all hear
is the
this?
principle that people receive that which they deserve, with the interpretation
That
of what
which
then
they
constitutes deserving being impacted
deserve.
upon by numerous fields, with many differing viewpoints and perspectives, including the concepts of moral correctness based on
Ethics, rationality, law, religion, equity, and
Consequently,
fairness.
the application of justice differs in every culture.
So, guys, Dante Roy, he's already been number 3 in the mix. You think they learned the lesson, guys? Do you think justice was done today? I don't think we will have justice until Derek Chauvin is at the bottom of somebody's boot, grasping for air, calling for his mother. That's going to be the day there's justice. But until then, close every door. For we know we shall find our own peace of mind, guys, when we have a land of our own. A land that treats us as equal citizens under the law. Close every door to me. Hide all the world from me. Are all the windows? Shut out the night. Do what you want with me. Hate, scream, and laugh at me. Darken my daytime. Torture my night. If my life were important, I would ask, will I live or die? I know the answers lie far from this world. Close every door to me. Keep those I love from me. Children of Israel are never alone, for we know we shall find our own peace of mind. For we have been promised a land of our own. Ooh, la la la, la la la, la 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 la, la la la. George Floyd, Castile, Dante Wright, Sandra Bland, It's not about me. It's about us. I do not matter. I'm only one person. Destroy me completely or throw me away. Give me a number instead of a name. Forget all about me and let me decay. For we know we shall find our own peace of mind. We have been promised the land of our own.